that worship session really helped. All that praying and
Ton
stuff.
of praying,
Yep.
Because we prayed throughout the whole, even I believe we prayed on the ride there too, if I'm not mistaken.
We literally, I didn't make, honestly, if I hadn't had those 5-6 hours of just connecting with God, none of this would have been possible.
Yeah.
Because some stuff ended up happening.
Welcome to the Vangs.
My name is Tanaya.
And I am Blanc.
And today we are going to share our birth story.
Yay!
So, as many of you know, we gave birth to a baby girl. Her name is Nova. And, yeah.
It's been a minute. Yeah, we miss you guys, man.
Yeah, at this current time of this recording, baby girl is already almost 6 months old.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we get into it, please remember that if you want to keep up with what we have been up to, please go to our Instagram at _Vangs. And we pretty much are more active on there than we are on YouTube.
Yeah, you'll see more of what we do on the day-to-day there and updates.
Yes, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so that you will be notified every time we upload a video.
Peace.
Every couple months.
See. So let's hop right into labor. I'll let you explain how labor went for you when it happened.
The night before I actually went into labor, actually a couple nights before I went to labor, I had felt some squishy stuff happening down there. And so I didn't know if it was my water breaking or not, but to be safe, I called the nurse triage anyway, and we ended up at the hospital.
Right.
Come to find out, it was not that. So then a couple days later, it happened again, and they told me if it smells like urine, then it's urine. And so I assumed I peed on myself 4 times, right?
Right.
And so it just kept coming out. And I'm like, well, whatever. We'll see what happens. But then that night we went to bed, and I couldn't really sleep because my contractions got a little bit heavier. And I'm like, well, I think these are like actual contractions. So
Right.
I kind of just sat there and let them go for an hour before I started timing them. And then finally I'm like, okay, these are really consistent, so I'll just start timing them. And I eventually get to the living room. I go to the living room. And this whole entire pregnancy, Peter and I had been praying that my labor and birth of the baby would be just as peaceful and gentle and calming.
Right.
Throughout the whole entire thing.
Smooth and easy.
Smooth and easy, pretty much.
Smooth like butter.
And so I went into the living room. I left Peter to sleep.
Yeah,
and
I was still sleeping.
And I remember putting on my worship playlist, and it was about 12 midnight around this time. And for about 5 hours, I just worshiped and I prayed and I labored and I prayed and I worshiped. I don't know how I would describe the labor pains other than menstrual cramps at that point. Then finally, I'm like, well, you know what? They're really consistent, so I'll go wake up Peter. And I said, hey, don't worry, but I'm in labor. What did you think when I told you that?
What was this, like 4 in the morning?
It was 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning. I remember just, when somebody wakes you up like, hey.
I didn't do that.
And
I said, hey.
And I was still kind of like, it was early, so I was trying to wrap everything around, like what's going on, because I was still waking up. And when she said I was in labor, I was like, oh crap, like today's the day. I jumped up right away, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, Tanaya's been preparing bags already. I haven't been doing nothing. So she put everything in bags already, and I woke up, washed up, and I was like, what if I forget this? What if I forget this? So I'm running around with my head cut off. And I remember you telling me, like, stop. You're making this worse for me. Like, you need to calm down. But I was excited. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, let's go. Like, I'm wired.
No. That was the first time.
Was that the first night?
That was the first time that
okay.
we thought that my water had broke, remember? And you were just going frantic. And I'm like, you really need to calm down. Because my anxiety was like up here at the first time we were going to the hospital.
And I was excited, so I was like, let's go.
He even called my parents and told them it was time for the baby to come. And we weren't even sure my water had even broke the first time.
I was excited.
You were excited, yeah, but I was already like this. And yeah.
So with me.
This time, though, my actual labor, you were very calm.
Oh, okay. Because the first one, that's right. Because I was.
Yeah, you were like all over the place. And I was like,
I was excited, yo.
It was a lot. Then I labored for 3 more hours.
Oh, that's right, because we didn't leave right away.
Exactly. We had your brother come house sit. And then we left to the hospital after I called the nurse triage line. And they said, come in. And so we're at the hospital.
Checking in, you know, doing
Checking
the things
in
you do.
while I'm having contractions.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decided to do a swab to make sure that there was amniotic fluid to make sure that my water actually broke.
Right.
Because by this point, I had already been laboring for 8 hours. Come to find out, it was water. My water had broke the night before and I didn't even know it.
At 12 o'clock? Right.
Yeah. So, 8 p.m. the night before. That's because you were making dinner when my water broke.
Dang.
I just thought I peed on myself.
Dang, that's crazy.
So 12 hours later, we're at the hospital.
Remind you, this is our first child, so we had no idea what we were doing.
They didn't explain anything to us. No. And finally, they're like, well, we're having a baby today. And I'm like, whoo, we having a baby today.
This might be the moment. Give me a thumbs up.
The 2 nights before that I had ended up in this room, I was nervous wreck. Every time I looked at... Yeah, you felt the nervousness, didn't you, Mama?
Okay.
And I was so scared of what was going to happen that I just wanted to cry because I didn't know.
Right.
But by this time, the second time that we were at the hospital, I had none of those nerves at all.
Yeah, I think it was because the first one kind of got it out the way, and then the second one.
And, that worship session really helped. All that praying and stuff.
Ton of praying,
Yep.
Because we prayed throughout the whole, even, I believe we prayed on the ride there, too, if I'm not mistaken.
We literally, I didn't make, honestly, if I hadn't had those 5-6 hours of just connecting with God, none of this would have been possible.
Yeah.
Because some stuff ended up happening. They check us in, and then they gave me a COVID test, and then they took me into the delivery room. Mm-hmm. And so I labored there. In this delivery room, we got to show the clip of that.
It's it's nicer than our 1-bedroom apartment. We got admitted. Yo, check out how fancy this place. The view's high, but look. I got a fridge. Look at all this space. We got a big smart TV. Yo, look at this bathroom. This bathroom is lit. Look at this mirror. And this is the nail. Baby girl's ready to come out.
I decorated it. We don't have any photos of that, but I end up putting affirmation cards that I created all over one of the areas.
Right.
Just saying, I can do this. Each moment each wave is a moment closer to my baby, and all this other stuff, and it really helped.
Yeah.
And God created my body to do this.
Yeah, she had little post-it cards everywhere.
Yeah. And actually the nurses commented on that. They're like, oh my gosh, these are so cute.
Our nurses were pretty good too, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes. Especially Rachel.
They
I really
were
like her.
super friendly and super nice.
Laboring. The labor pains aren't horrible. I was only 2 centimeters by the time I got there, so I wasn't even in active labor yet. And so we labored for a long time.
At the hospital, we got at the hospital at 8 or 9?
We got to the hospital about 9. And I think I labored up until 3 p.m.
Yeah, roughly.
So from 11 o'clock the night before to now 2 p.m.
The next
2 p.m.
day, right.
Yeah. I had been in labor. Not horrible labor, mind you. They were still tolerable. And I just used the bouncy ball. I walked around and helped push the baby down. But
Yep. And then with the classes we took, they taught
positions.
Yeah, they taught the husband or the partner how to kind of help. So whenever you would have contractions, I would rub your back. I would hold you while you held me. I'm glad we took those classes because I wouldn't have known what to do. I probably would have just sat there and be like,
you need help. That's what he would have did. Because,
walk it off.
Yeah, so the best position I think for me for when I was going through contractions was the one where we were holding each other. Yeah. Like that slow dancing one. Because when I sat and a contraction came, that did not feel good at all. Right. But standing and moving back and forth, that one actually helped relieve it the best.
Also, your back was the biggest one too. I would constantly have to kind of rub it.
Oh yeah, because I didn't have back labor. A lot of first-time moms I heard have back labor, but she was in optimal position.
Like this.
Wow, you're extra. So what they had to do, they put these little baby monitors on your stomach, right?
Oh, right. Eventually,
But
yeah.
they were so stupid because they kept sliding. Because every time I changed position,
It would just slide off.
it would slide, or the baby would adjust herself. It was just weird,
Right.
and so they couldn't keep a constant heart rate for her. But they knew that her heart rate was dropping with every contraction that I had. But it would pick back up.
And it's hard because, you know, you can hear it. You can hear the heartbeat.
You can hear the baby's
so
heartbeat.
then we would always get concerned because every time
I
Tanaya
would have
get
a contraction. Her heartbeat would go
drop.
all the way down.
It got to the point where it would hit 0 for a few seconds and then it'll go back up. And we were starting to get concerned too. So then
I didn't really get I guess I was concerned, but I'm like, okay, they're keeping an eye out, they're monitoring out there, so they'll tell me if it gets too serious. So then they're like, well, because you keep moving around, we're gonna ask if we can put a more internal monitor in you. And so it had this little shark thing at the end, and it was a long little string, and I'm like, okay, so where is that gonna go? And they're like, well, we go into your uterus and we just put it on the top of the baby's head. And I said, okay, what kind of damage does it do? I was asking all questions. And they're like, it doesn't do any damage. It's right on the top of the skin. She doesn't feel it. I said, okay, so how does it come out? And so they told me how it comes out. It just spins out without hurting the baby at all. I'm like, okay, do it.
By the way, tips for first-time parents or just any parents in general, ask questions. Do not be
ask
afraid.
Sometimes you don't know what questions to ask.
But don't be afraid to ask why, though. If they're asking you, can we do this? Be like, why?
Yeah,
why?
And did I do that a lot?
Hell yeah, we did.
Yeah.
You ask why for everything. You're like, why?
The thing is, here's what we forgot. I tested positive for COVID.
Which was weird because,
So we had been sick a month before this.
Right.
And Peter did test positive for COVID. But we didn't know whether I had it or not because I didn't get tested.
Right.
I just stayed home. But then a month later, I was positive for COVID with no symptoms at all.
Right.
And so because of that, I couldn't have my doula, a.k.a. my mom.
Right. So it was just, because of COVID too.
Yeah, we just said that.
The +1 was all they would let in the room.
That didn't make any sense. Because of me having COVID, they would only let me have one person in the room, not two.
And that was the +1.
So I said, is it one including my husband or one plus another person? My husband plus another person. And so it was just my husband.
Yep, I was the +1.
So my mom was disappointed that she couldn't be there for that.
Yeah.
And so I kept her on video chat. And as I'm on video chat, keeping the family updated, they monitored. And they let me go, I think, an hour with contractions to see how the baby's heart was doing.
Right.
And she was dropping so much that
everyone was like,
concerned. Like, it was like the stronger my contractions got, the longer her heart rate stopped.
Yeah, it got real scary because, to hear your baby's heartbeat just stop is the scariest thing.
Yep. And so then the nurses came in and they talked to the OB team. Originally, I had a midwife. They talked to the OB team to suggest C-section.
Right.
And that's where the tables turn. Thank you for watching part 1 of our birth story. I know you're like, give us another one. It is coming out soon, I promise you, but editing takes a long time. Okay.
And also, please leave us some comments of some stuff you guys want to know more about the story too,
Yeah, we can make more videos based off what you want to know, depending on how private it is.
Right.
And if we feel like sharing. But yes, look out for part 2 coming up. Make sure you are subscribed and you hit that notification bell so that you can be alerted when the newest video drops, including part 2. Follow us on Facebook at the Vangs, and we'll see you in the next video.
Peace.
Bye.